For longer stories, please check the pinned comment and description for link. This bonus story is not included in any of my ebooks.
The air in the concrete bunker, cooled by inadequate vents, was a stale mix of cigarette smoke and coffee. Harry Coral traced a line of Japanese kana with his index finger. Station Hypo felt less like a hub of intelligence and more like a besieged fortress of the mind. The teletype machine in the corner clacked incessantly, spitting out another strip of paper. Seaman First Class O'Malley, a fresh-faced analyst barely out of cryptography school, tore it off and hurried it over to Coral's cluttered desk. "Chief Coral, sir, another one. Priority from Yokosuka traffic, heavy shipping designations." Harry took the strip, his fingers, despite their exhaustion, moving with practiced efficiency. The characters blurred, then resolved. JN25B, their primary target. They had pieces of it, enough to confirm a general idea, but not enough for certainty. He ran his eyes over the encoded groups, his mind a whirlwind of permutations, frequency counts, and partial keys. This wasn't combat with bullets and blood, but it was warfare nonetheless, a relentless, unseen attrition of the intellect. Every missed character, every faulty assumption could translate into 1,000 lost lives on some distant, sun-drenched sea. The psychological toll was immense, a constant gnawing fear that he wasn't good enough, that the next piece of the puzzle would remain stubbornly hidden. Route this to the traffic analysis board, and cross-reference with the past week's shipping movements. See if anything sticks out, any new patterns. Watch for unusual call signs or new administrative groups. He spoke in clipped tones, conserving energy, every word purposeful. Sleep had become a luxury, replaced by the bitter taste of coffee and the gnawing pressure of responsibility. Hours later, the air in the bunker grew heavier, thick with the unsaid weights of anticipation. The AF designation had appeared multiple times in intercepts, coupled with terms suggesting a major operation. Rochefort, the eccentric, brilliant commander of Hypo, paced the length of the operations room, a cigarette dangling from his lips. AF, it's gotta be Midway. Logic, the traffic analysis, the tempo, it all points to it, but we need confirmation, hard confirmation. Harry, poring over a logbook filled with previous intercepts, slammed his fist lightly on the desk. "It fits the pattern, sir. We've seen AF using conjunction with water and fuel resupply orders, and the Japanese always use their own code words for major operations, not straightforward geographic names." The logic was a slow, agonizing process of elimination and deduction, like chipping away at a massive, unyielding block of ice. They had to be certain. A false alarm could be catastrophic. The risk was immense. They were asking for an entire fleet to move on a hunch, a calculated guess built on fragments of code. The deception plan was simple, desperate, and brilliant. Send out a false plain language message about Midway's freshwater condenser breaking down. If the Japanese picked it up and relayed it back in their encrypted code, they would have their irrefutable confirmation. Harry felt a knot tighten in his stomach as the false message was sent. It was a gamble, a psychological operation playing directly into the rigid doctrines of Japanese naval communications. The waiting was the hardest part, a form of exquisite torture. His eyes fixed on the teletype burned. He could almost feel the phantom static in his ears, hear the ghost of a Japanese radio man tapping out the message. The air in the bunker was so thick with tension you could almost cut it with a knife. No one spoke above a whisper. The only sounds were the whirring of the cooling fans and the distant, rhythmic clack of the teletype. Harry imagined the journey of the false message, across the vast Pacific, picked up by Japanese listening posts, routed and coded, and then sent back. Every second stretched into an eternity. He ran his hand over his face, feeling the stubble, the exhaustion etched deep into his bones. Then it happened. The teletype machine stuttered, chattered, and then began to print a new sequence of characters. Everyone in the room leaned forward, their breath held. Harry snatched the strip of paper. His eyes scanned the familiar groups, then focused on one particular set. AF is short of fresh water, damage to distilling plant, possibly due to malfunction. His heart leapt, then sank with a leaden thud. It was there, the AF confirmed. Midway. The false message had worked. A collective sigh rippled through the room, a mix of relief and grim acceptance. Rochefort gripped Harry's shoulder, his expression a mixture of triumph and profound weariness. "Good work, Chief. God help us all." The victory, if it could be called that, was fleeting. For Harry, the abstract symbols on paper had suddenly manifested into the very real prospect of a massive naval battle, of ships burning, of men dying. He had been a key architect of this. His mind, which was so detached in its pursuit of patterns, now grappled with the human cost of his success. The knowledge was a heavy burden, a silent prophecy of bloodshed. Days later, the news filtered back. The Battle of Midway, a decisive American victory. The Japanese carriers, targets identified thanks to Hypo's work, were at the bottom of the Pacific. A profound, almost unbearable silence fell over the bunker. No celebrations, no triumphant shouts. Just the constant hum of the machines and the quiet, haunted faces of the cryptanalysts. Harry sat at his desk, staring at a blank sheet of paper. He had played his part, a crucial one, in the turning of the tide. But the exhilaration was absent, replaced by a hollow ache. He thought of the men, both American and Japanese, who had fought and died. Their sacrifice, in a strange, indirect way, was linked to the patterns he had seen, the codes he had broken. He hadn't pulled a trigger, hadn't flown a plane, hadn't sailed a ship. His battlefield was among the symbols and ciphers, yet the casualties were just as real. We'll continue adding more ebooks regularly to cover the vast conflict of World War II. Thank you, and see you in our next war stories.